Is e.l.f. about to play in my face like countless other tinted mineral sunscreens have before? Let's find out. So I picked this up in 4 shades: 13 Deep Neutral, 14 Deep Warm, 17 Rich Warm, and 18 Rich Neutral. I wanted to show you guys an array of shades. And then also, I have neutral undertones, and typically I would wear a foundation shade that says that it has neutral undertones. But when it comes to tinted mineral sunscreens, because they do contain white pigments, zinc oxide and or titanium dioxide, sometimes I find that it can look grayish on me. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me try to get the warmer shade, which should have a little bit more red in it. Which now I'm thinking, does e.l.f. think that red is warm or that red is cool? Because you know some brands switch it around. Now, honestly, looking at these swatches, I'm thinking 13 Deep Neutral, the top one up here. This one doesn't look bad either. I'm thinking this one. We'll try both. We'll try both. We'll try the 13 Deep Neutral and then the 14 Deep Warm. Like, they don't look gray as I've seen with some tinted mineral sunscreens, but they're not looking all of that like great either. We'll see. This is a 13 Deep Neutral. Uh-oh. And as you can see, the finish is quite radiant. If you wanted to tone that down, I would set this with either a translucent powder, or if you have a face powder, a colored face powder, you can do that too to tone down some of the shine. I like that it doesn't look ashy though. Let's try 14 Deep Warm. All right. Now, when it comes out of when it comes out the bottle, it comes out the bottle. It's like dispensing so quickly. I would probably use a makeup sponge or a brush to apply this, but you gotta make sure you put on enough. Now, enough is approximately 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon for your face, neck, and ears. Now, me, myself personally, I don't wear tinted sunscreens, but I do wear makeup, and I do put makeup on my ears because I don't want my ears to not match the rest of my face. But I definitely don't put any makeup on my neck because that is just like a recipe for disaster. So it is quite radiant. And I will say that the shades do look good. I have to get up and look and see if this matches my skin in a bigger mirror. But this does look good. It reminds me a lot of the Fenty one, because the Fenty one had good shade range. But it was just that the formula was quite radiant. Like, you really needed powder to take down some of the radiance. Now, sometimes with a mineral sunscreen, some of the ones that work the best do tend to have like that really radiant finish in it, because that radiant finish and then here along with the tint is really helping to prevent that white cast. So sometimes you have to do certain things to overcome the white cast, but these are the limitations you have with mineral sunscreens, which is why I wish people would stop demonizing chemical/organic sunscreens, but that's another topic for another day. And looking in the bigger mirror, I'm thinking that the neutral, the 13 Deep Neutral, is a better match, because although the 14 Deep Warm, the overtone might be closer to my skin tone, the undertones are very, very warm, very red, a little too red. And sometimes sometimes when I tan in the summer, I do tend to look like my undertones are very warm, very red as I get a little tan to me. So perhaps this might be a color that I would wear at that point. Let's put some powder on it. Okay, I had all intentions of this being a short, which is why it's in this format, but it's looking like I'm talking long enough for it to be a very short, long form video. So we are going to put on the Laura Mercier Translucent Powder in Medium Deep to take down some of this shine. Much better. Yeah, these remind me a lot of the Fenty tinted mineral sunscreen in terms of the shades and how radiant it is. Now listen, y'all, because y'all be wanting a lot, and I get you, because the world is your oyster. You should expect a lot from the world, right? However, there are some limitations when it comes to mineral sunscreen. Zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, filters that are used to make mineral sunscreen are white pigments. And I feel like I have to keep saying this because people are always like, oh, well, what is it? It's white pigment, right? In order for them to formulate something that is going to look beautiful on deeper skin, it's some stuff they gotta do to them white pigments in order for it to look good. So like, see something like this where I was like, okay, so the trade-off here is that I can get a nice tone that's gonna match deeper skin, because these aren't even all of the deeper shades. There are more deeper shades than this. They have cool undertones as well, but I knew that the cool undertones probably weren't gonna work for me. This is a beautiful shade range that I don't see often in tinted mineral sunscreens. So the trade-off, unfortunately, is the extra radiance. Now, if you're somebody with dry skin, you might welcome that extra radiance. If you're somebody with oily skin, you're probably like, whoa, 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 whoa. However, like I just did, you can tone it down with some powder. Look at that. And I feel like it matches better now that I have the powder on, because the texture of my skin, the finish on my skin is looking more like the finish on my neck and chest. So it looks more congruent. I like this a lot. And then you could use a mineral powder sunscreen. The best one I think is the Supergoop one because of the packaging. With these mineral powder sunscreens, you have to have really, really good packaging. Otherwise that mess is going to jack up the way that it looks on your face. It might come like too much might dispense and you got a big dirty stinking white powder in the middle of your face. But the Supergoop one, that's pretty nice for touching up throughout the day. Obviously, you need to put your base sunscreen on. I would also probably say that you might need a base sunscreen on underneath this, because you do have to put on enough for it to count. These are SPF 50, but if you don't put on enough, which is approximately 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon, then you ain't gonna get SPF 50. You might get a 25, maybe a 30, but you're not gonna get, you know, the SPF 50 unless you put on enough of the product. And I think putting powder on is such a minor tweak for such, like, this product has a lot of really good potential, especially with what we've been seeing with tinted mineral sunscreens. As a matter of fact, I just tested the Color Science deeper shade that they just came out with. Like, I'd rather, if I was someone who wore tinted mineral sunscreen, I would rather work with the e.l.f. and put a little powder on than to be looking like a ghost with the Color Science. But you let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you try this? If you want to see more tinted mineral sunscreen reviews, make sure you check out this playlist that I'm going to link here in the video so you can check them out. And if anybody was like, well, you know, what are the best ones? There is a running tab. There has been a running tab for years on my blog. I will link that in the description box and you can check that out. And it links to the video review. So you can, you know, click on it and look at the sunscreens and see what they look like on my skin.